In my 3 years of reviewing games on this channel, I've never been more disheartened by a game than I have been with Redfall. So yesterday, I preloaded the game on my PC, and I woke up this morning kind of excited to play it because Redfall is a game that's going to be right up my alley. A co-op action RPG, kind of like Borderlands or Dead Island, that's good to just get some loot, do some quests, and run around in a fun world. But then this morning I woke up, and I saw all the headlines for the reviews, and I was like, oh no, this is not going to be good. So how did it go? Well, not too great. My game has crashed. That means I'd have to start that whole mission again. Oh my god, this fucking game. What a terrible game. So we'll start with the thing that slapped me in the face first, and that was the performance. So here are my PC specs, and it's more than capable of running this game at decent graphics at 60 FPS. But regardless of what I did, whether I played it on low, whether I played it on epic, the game could not hold 60 FPS even with AMD FSR on. Now, the majority of my playtime was on stream, so I was using the same PC to stream the game as play it, so that would obviously take a performance hit, but not this bad. Even without it, I struggled. And I noticed that it was worse on mouse and keyboard. I don't know if it's because the game was faster on mouse and keyboard that it just ruined it, but when I played it on controller, it was a lot more bearable, but still never held 60 FPS. So that isn't a good start, and overall, I did like the aesthetic of the game. It still has that sort of arcane watercolor look that I really like, but because I had to play it on such low settings, the game just didn't look good. And usually with these videos I script them, but I just had to sit down with this game and just heart to heart have a talk because I'm so disappointed. So the premise is that vampires are taking over the town of Redfall, which I really like, and the overall aesthetic of the town, being like an East Coast US town, was actually very appealing. And I really enjoyed that the game was set in autumn. It just gave it a really nice aesthetic, especially with like the pumpkins and stuff around. And exploring the town does have some merits. It has a small bit of the arcane DNA where you have to infiltrate a big building and you can either climb up on the roof, or you can hack a door to go in the bottom, or you can just go in guns blazing. So exploring these areas, doing quests and finding loot actually has something good about it, but unfortunately the rest of the game just falls flat. Firstly, the story is delivered in these like one frame cutscenes, and overall they just look cheap. They simply just look like a game that came out 5 or 10 years ago. And then from what I've seen of the characters, I couldn't care about them. I personally don't think that's a problem in a game like this, but with everything else being so bad and me not caring about the characters, there's literally nothing keeping me in here. And unfortunately, when we talk about the gameplay, the game just gets worse. So we'd have to start with the gunplay, and this ranges from passable to absolutely atrocious. So the passable weapons are the shotguns and pistols. They feel pretty okay. But then you get onto every single other weapon type. The assault rifles just have no feedback, no recoil. They were just awful to use, and pretty much every single one of the humanoid enemies died in one hit, so it didn't really matter what weapon you used. And then the snipers just lacked any impact whatsoever. I will say that there is a unique weapon that shoots out light that freezes vampires that is cool. Again, it lacks the feedback, but its use is actually fun. Then the AI rears its ugly head, and these are easily some of the most stupid enemies you will ever see in a game. Firstly, the vampires, which I do like the designs and all the variations of them. They are cool, but they literally just run at you. That's all they do. They just run at you, and then some of them have like a little dodge to the side animation, but they're so easy to kill. There's just no danger involved in it. And then the human enemies are the most brain dead enemies I've ever seen in the game. I'm not even joking. It's like they have a staring contest with you for 5 or 10 seconds before they even attempt to pull their gun out. So when you see an enemy, they'll turn, they'll look around, oh, there you are, and then like 3 seconds later they'll take out their gun. So you can kill easily 2 or 3 enemies before they even get their guns out, even if they are looking at. And the amount of times you just got caught in the terrain, constantly miss bullets, so animations with Loop trying to jump over things, and you just fall through fences. It's honestly baffling. Deathloop had really bad AI when it launched, and this was about 50 times worse. Now, I didn't really like Deathloop because I think it departed from the arcane formula, and this departs even further from the arcane formula. But at the very least, Deathloop worked. This game just constantly feels like you're battling with it. You're either battling with the performance, you're battling with the AI, you're battling with the mechanics just not feeling good. It's just overall a bad game. When it comes to Game Pass games, as a reviewer, it's easy to sit down and just say, look, just download it, play it for an hour or two. If you don't like it, no skin off your back. But this game was so boring, I was descending into madness trying to stream it, and I just wouldn't recommend that you even download it. It's just not worth it. It's like 100 gigs. It would take a couple of hours to download and then a couple of hours to get into it, and even getting into it is just really bad. When you get into the mission structure, it's literally point A, point B, back to point A. That's all you do. Nothing is really interesting in it. Again, the story, I don't care about the characters. Some of the world building is interesting, but it's delivered through mostly notes that you have to read. There's the odd voice log, which I do appreciate, but in a co-op game, do you really want to sit down and read notes while your friends run off and do fun things? It's just not a fun way to experience a story. There is some environmental storytelling that Arcane just do so well, but ultimately, I just have no interest in this game. When it comes to the side objectives, there are these nests that you go into that are basically almost like dungeons. So you go in, say there's a random buff on the vampires, you have to make it to the end and get out. And firstly, in these areas, the game actually ran at 60 FPS, which was a first, which I was very thankful for. But literally all I did was walk from point A to B, kill about 5 vampires, destroy this heart at the end with no like enemies pressure me or anything, and then just get out. So that and the underbosses were kind of the second to last nail in the coffin. When you clear out a safe house, which by the way are comically easy, you literally just have to turn on a generator or maybe kill 3 enemies. And then you do a quest in that safe house, then you unlock the underboss. And the underboss are like mini boss vampires that you go into a house or somewhere or like a church, and they're sitting there waiting for you. And they have some cool abilities, like one had a shield, one put fog everywhere. But I literally killed them, in no joke. One of them was dead in 10 seconds, the other one took 2 minutes. And even the one that took 2 minutes, it's only because he had a shield. And I basically stood behind the stairs and then he couldn't attack me. Honestly, I'm really disappointed because this game could have been Prey 2, it could have been Dishonored 3. But instead, we get Deathloop, and then we get Redfall. Arcane were one of my favorite studios. Dishonored 1 is one of my favorite games of all time. And their games were special. I understand they didn't sell well and they needed to up sales. So honestly, Redfall feels like a combination of making a game that everybody will play and, you know, your average person would enjoy, but then also like a rush development cycle. Xbox are under a lot of pressure right now and they need to get games out. But unfortunately, when they get a game out like this that just isn't ready, maybe if this game had another year and they could work on the gunplay, make it run smoothly, and also improve the AI, then I could see some fun being there, like a switch off your brain, just run around an interesting world, do some quests. But right now I've played 5 hours of it and that's me done. I don't want to play any more of it. I won't. I'm not going to put myself through that. It's just not worth it. The game simply isn't fun. There's just no fun factor in it whatsoever. 2 negative videos on the trot on the channel. I really don't like doing this, but unfortunately, when games really are that bad and disappointing, you just have to speak about it. So touch wood, Tears of the Kingdom comes out, and it's very good, because I need a good game to play, because Jedi Survivor was good, but the performance is so bad that I put it down. And then I was looking forward to playing this game because I genuinely adore Arcane, but the fun just isn't there. So I really appreciate you watching. Thanks everybody for tuning into the stream. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, join the Discord down below. See you all in the next video. Goodbye.